You are going to then pull yourself down into your starting position by breathing, bracing, getting super, super tight, and feeling like that bar is going to slowly lift off the ground, then go.
That was so good.
Christy came to me with complaints of low back pain. The pain was located on her left lower side of her back and would spike after heavy deadlifts or when sitting at her desk all day for a long time. It's important to remember that most injuries that occur in the weight room are due to poor movement and technique or inappropriate loads. I wanted to show you the evaluation process today, and as you watch it, see if you can figure out which of these movement diagnosis problems fit her pain the best. I started her evaluation by asking her to perform a simple bodyweight squat. From the front view, it's hard to see, but from the back you can see a very small shift to the left side, the side at which she had been experiencing most of her current pain. Next, I tested her single leg control, which is always a fun screen for any non-CrossFit athlete. She actually had pretty good control of each leg. Lying on her stomach was completely pain-free, and when I asked her to raise each leg at a time, she had sufficient hip extension and no back pain, meaning she was not triggered with extension or a rotation with extension movement. She had no pain with the load test holding a weight in front of her body or with the dynamic heel drop test. This meant her symptoms were also not part of a load intolerance category. Next, listen into the seated compression test.
This position. Now the first one, you're going to have a very tall posture, neutral spine. You're going to grab your hands right here and you're going to pull down as hard as you can, basically trying to smash your spine. And I want to see what that does to your symptoms. So tall posture, pull straight up as hard as you can. Good. Anything at all. Okay, now over extend your spine. So big arch. Good, now pull up. No, round your back. Good, now pull up in that position.
I feel something, it's not too painful, but that's
But you can feel a little thing right in that area.
So because she was able to elicit pain with flexion and compression, and the fact that she had pain with heavy deadlifts that led her to default into a rounded back posture when fatigued, it gave me a better idea that she may be dealing with a flexion intolerance. This would mean that the MRI showing a bulging disc in her low back was still an active disc bulge. When she created compression in a neutral posture, the load was evenly distributed and no bulge occurred. However, when she flexed her spine and then applied the load, the uneven compression pushed the internucleus through the small cracks in the annulus, as you can see here, triggering pain. Remember, not all disc bulges or abnormalities on MRI are automatically the cause of pain, so the movement diagnosis must come first, and an MRI is then used only to confirm our ideas, but not to drive our treatment. A proper evaluation of the back doesn't end with just looking at the spine. We must also look at the joints that connect to the back, like the hips. You can see here she had a good amount of hip internal rotation on her right side, but had very limited rotation comparatively on the left side. Now, a significant side-to-side asymmetry, especially for a strength athlete, can be a reason behind back pain, as it leads to uneven forces placed on the spine during lifts like a deadlift or squat. I immediately had her try a few assisted hip airplanes, dropping her hip and getting a good stretch in her left glute, holding for 5 seconds and 10 reps. We retested directly after and were able to see a significant improvement in hip internal rotation on the restricted side. Therefore, with our movement diagnosis of a flexion posture intolerance with associated hip internal rotation issues, I was able to craft together a plan that included things to avoid and things to start including, like core stability work and reworking deadlift technique. We started her treatment with the McGill Big 3, including the modified curl up and the side plank, each held for 10 seconds. Listen into some of the cues I used for the bird dog.
We need to brace first, so tighten up into my fingers. Good. Now you will move this hand and this leg. Okay, but it's brace first and then go slowly. Very good. You will kick this heel back. Very good. Only that foot about an inch or two off the ground. Okay. This hand, you're going to squeeze really hard. Okay, so squeeze and make a fist. Now in doing so, you're going to light up and create tension from that fist all the way down, straight line all the way down here. Does that feel okay in your back? Okay, 10-second hold, again breathing through the straw, and then you're maintaining this tension as you come back under. You're going to tap your fist to your knee, underneath. So come back, nice and slow, keep this from moving, tap under, so you're sweeping, don't let this flex. Good, tap this right there, and then back out again. So you'll see a lot of people that as they come under, they lose their back. And especially for you, if we go into that flexed posture, that's moving into our trigger. Very
We're
good.
gonna see extension. A lot of people when they do this too.
A lot of people, this
Reaching.
foot is way in the air. What's that doing to the spine?
Yeah.
It's extending the spine. So our goal with this is to teach that neutral spinal posture with movement of the arms and legs, which is every single strongman event,
It's awesome.
right?
We then did some offset walks with the 10 pounds hanging on the Earthquake bamboo bar from Bandbell to work on improving spine awareness before then working her deadlift technique with straps. Again, let's listen to this conversation.
This is basically going to be your set, okay? So from right here, we have a flat back. You are going to then pull yourself down into your starting position by breathing, bracing, getting super, super tight, and feeling like that bar is going to slowly lift off the ground, then go.
That was so good.
Okay, slow back down. Okay, so try it again. So just instead of starting at the top, we're starting from this position, okay? Flat back, okay? You're lowering yourself down, pulling yourself down with your hips. Control, control. Squeeze, go. Good. Control down. Good. Okay, one more. I want you to build as much tension as possible in your body and then explode like you're coming out of a can. Okay, you're gonna feel that bar barely leave the ground. Feel it click. Go. Good. Nice. Control back down. Very good. Okay, relax. Feel different?
Yeah, very different.
Okay. Feel strong.
Yeah, it feels very strong.
Good.
So, yeah, I feel like, especially with the pain, I feel like I wasn't able to explode much, so I feel like I'm rebuilding that back too.
Pain
Like, that
completely
patient-
takes
or that-
away your ability to use your muscles in your
Yeah.
body as you need to.
Yeah, so although that's maybe not the fastest
You know,
205,
you can hurt a little
maybe
bit.
not the fastest 205 I've ever done, I felt really tight and, pain free and also just like strong.
Mhm.
And it's like a really stiff bar. So it's like,
Yeah.
so it felt like really good for that.
That's good.
I
Yeah.
just need someone telling me how to be patient, be like, pull myself down the bar.
That's the biggest thing is we don't want to think, that this is just a lift that we do from pulling. It's a push and a pull together. So understanding that connection between the two and creating that super stiffness. And that's the thing most people don't realize is that I think sometimes because you don't have that bar loaded on your back, that you don't have to be as stiff.
Well, when I started to do where I tried to focus more on pushing,
Yeah.
I wasn't very stiff at the bottom, so my butt would rise.
Yeah.
And I'd pull in the flex position.
Mhm.
So I think this is making me create like a better starting position.
Yes. And the better you start, the better you finish.
Right. Wow.
Okay. So then from there, it's just we're not going to push any more heavy weight today, but that starts the building block.
Right.
So go over everything today, right? Flexion, posture, intolerance. Knowing that sitting around all day in a bad posture bleeds your capacity to then train, right? It's not that you're in a ton of pain right now. You're at that end of the injury, but we need to understand how sitting around can take away from your capacity to train and lead to some pain. So when you are sitting, if you have to, lumbar roll, stay into that neutral position, okay? And when you are training, we have a warm up of fixing that left hip internal rotation. That was side to side different, okay? We also had core stability emphasis, and then also the movement control and the movement connection. So if we did the core stability, if we did the hip mobility, but then we never even talked about how to deadlift and move, and, correct that, this pain could come back. So you have to have that complete circle to really make sure that not only do you get out of pain, but you get back to a high level of performance. That's what it's all about.